You're lying in a hospital bed. The room is quiet except for the steady rhythm of machines beside you. A nurse checks your wristband. A doctor steps outside and makes a phone call that nobody expected to make tonight. Not because your injury is unusual, because your blood is. Somewhere on Earth, fewer than 50 people may carry the only blood that can save your life. If no one answers the phone, modern medicine may have nothing left to offer. Think about that for a second. How can we live in a world of 8 billion people, yet a single bag of blood can become rarer than almost anything else on the planet? And if that isn't enough to make someone the rarest human alive, then what does? Most people think rarity is easy to measure, count the people, find the smallest number, problem solved. But here's where things get interesting. The answer changes depending on what you're measuring. Is the rarest person someone with an extraordinary disease? Someone with a genetic mutation? Someone from an isolated community? Or could the rarest human be someone who has no idea they're unusual at all? To answer that, we need to begin in a laboratory on the other side of the world. Picture this. A technician in Australia is performing what should be an ordinary prenatal blood test. The sample behaves strangely. They test it again. Same result. Again. Still the same. At first, it doesn't make sense. Every known Rh marker is missing. Not one, not two. All of them. Researchers had never seen anything like it before. The blood would eventually become known as Rh null. Today, most people know about blood groups like A, B, AB, and O. But your blood carries another system as well, the Rh system. Think of it as a collection of tiny identification badges sitting on the surface of your red blood cells. Almost everyone has at least some of them. People with Rh null have none. That sounds like a tiny difference. It isn't. In one way, Rh null blood is incredibly valuable. Because it lacks every Rh marker, it can often be safely transfused to people with many other rare Rh blood types. Doctors sometimes call it golden blood. But here's the contradiction. The very thing that makes it so valuable also makes it terrifying to live with. If you have Rh null blood, you usually can't accept ordinary blood in return. You need another Rh null donor. And there are almost none. Imagine owning the only charger that works for thousands of devices, while your own phone can only be charged by a handful of people scattered across the planet. That's life with Rh null. Which raises an obvious question. What happens if someone with golden blood gets into a car crash? Researchers eventually built an answer, not inside a hospital, inside a network. In 1965, specialists created the International Rare Donor Panel in Bristol. Its purpose was surprisingly simple. Find the world's rarest blood donors before somebody desperately needs them. On a normal day, it's little more than names, laboratory records, and freezer inventories. On the wrong day, it becomes one of the most important databases on Earth. Imagine a phone ringing in the middle of the night. Someone answers. Another call crosses a border, then another. A unit of frozen blood leaves a secure laboratory. It travels in a heavily insulated container packed with dry ice. Airport staff make exceptions. Customs officers receive emergency paperwork. Every hour matters. Because somewhere, a patient is running out of time. Most people never see that part of medicine, but it happens. And that's only the first layer of the mystery. Because blood isn't the only thing that can make someone extraordinarily rare. Now imagine a quiet kitchen in the Scottish Highlands. A woman slices incredibly hot peppers for dinner. Everyone else reaches for water. She keeps eating. She doesn't understand what the fuss is about. Later, she has surgery. Doctors ask her to rate her pain. 0. She apologizes because she thinks she's giving the wrong answer. For decades, she simply assumed everyone experienced life this way. Her name was Jo Cameron. Researchers eventually became curious enough to study her DNA. In 2019, scientists from University College London and Oxford discovered something remarkable. She carried a rare mutation affecting the FAAH gene, along with a tiny missing section of nearby DNA, known as FAAH-OUT. The names sound complicated. The effect wasn't. The mutation changed how her body processed chemical signals involved in pain, fear, and healing. She rarely felt pain. She experienced unusually low anxiety. Her wounds healed faster than expected. For most of her life, she had been living in a body that worked differently from almost everyone else's, without realizing it. But here's where the entire story changes. Neither Jo Cameron, nor someone with golden blood, is necessarily the rarest human alive. Because rarity doesn't always arrive one trait at a time. Sometimes it stacks. Picture thousands of lottery tickets. Winning one is already unlikely. Now imagine winning several different lotteries simultaneously. One rare blood type, one uncommon immune profile, a unique combination of genes, an unusual chromosome, a mutation affecting pain, another affecting metabolism, another that has never even been documented. Each trait multiplies the improbability of the next. Statisticians call this the tail of the distribution, the place where probabilities become so small they almost disappear. And suddenly, the rarest human alive might not appear in any medical textbook. They might be walking through an airport, standing beside you in a grocery store, or sitting in a classroom completely unaware that, biologically speaking, they may be unlike anyone else who has ever lived. Researchers often discover these people only when something goes wrong: a surgery, a pregnancy, a blood transfusion, an unexpected laboratory result. Only then does medicine realize it has found someone extraordinary. But here's another surprise. Sometimes rarity isn't about genetics at all. Picture a small island in the Andaman Sea, dense forest, white beaches, no hotels, no tourists, no roads. A small community has lived here for thousands of years, the Sentinellas. They have rejected outside contact for as long as anyone can remember. Estimates suggest only around 50 to 200 people live there. Almost nothing is known about their language. Almost nothing is known about their genetics. In this case, rarity isn't measured inside the body. It's measured by isolation. The farther you follow this question, the stranger it becomes. Because every definition changes the answer. And maybe that's exactly the point. When we hear the phrase, the rarest human alive, we imagine one extraordinary person standing above everyone else. Reality is much messier. Human biology is constantly reshuffling itself. Every child inherits a combination of genes that has never existed before. Every generation creates possibilities that didn't exist in the last. Most disappear quietly. A few become medical discoveries. An even smaller number change how scientists understand the human body itself, which means the rarest person on Earth probably isn't famous. They probably aren't in a documentary. They may never appear in a scientific journal. They may simply live an ordinary life, until one ordinary day reveals something no one has ever seen before. And maybe that's the strangest part of all. In a world filled with billions of people, the greatest mysteries aren't always hidden in distant jungles, the deep oceans, or outer space. Sometimes they're quietly flowing through someone's veins, waiting for the moment the world finally notices.